Hey, today we're going to talk about how to first take your wheel off your bike, take your tire off your bike to find your tire width. The way we get a wheel off the frame is we start at the axle. So to do that, we're going to start here with the quick release. Now most bikes are going to have a quick release system like this. I'm simply going to lift open this lever and I'm going to twist it while holding the back. I'm going to twist it just so it becomes loose. I don't have to take it all the way off. And this is a cantilever brake. So this is a pretty easy system. All you do is you suck it in like that, and you'll notice how that came off this part right here. Again, I'll show that to you again. So I push it in like that, pull that out like that. And so now it's loose, and away we go. A non-quick release style, which will be like this kid's bike. Most kids' bikes are going to be that way. And they'll have these two bolts on that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a wrench here and a wrench here, and I'm just going to loosen it. And then I'm just going to pop it off. Or you might have this style of cantilever. This style is a different style of cantilever brake where basically we lift up this lever like this and it opens up the brake pad. And then I do the same thing. I open up the quick release lever, I spin it till it becomes loose, pop the wheel right out. So the final is the disc brake style. And disc brake has this nice disc rotor on it. And then basically I'll just open up my lever like this, I'll twist it and I'll loosen it, and there is no brake to worry about. You just pop that off. Now the one thing with disc brake, if you have hydraulic disc brakes, this is really important. While the rim is off, don't grab the levers, otherwise you'll lock your pads together. Now that we have the wheel off the bike, we'll go ahead and show you how to take the tire off the rim to check your rim width. So now we got to get the air out of the tire. So to do that, you have two different types of valve. This right here is a Presta valve. Presta valve, so we just need to unscrew it and press it in like that and let the air out. That's how to do a Presta. To do a Schrader, which will be on most kids' bikes, we're going to take the cap off. And then we're going to grab like a Allen wrench or a screwdriver, and we're just going to push in. There's a little piece in the middle there, and you're just going to push in and let that air out. Once the tire's flat, I'm going to squeeze it together like that. Squeezing it together creates a little bit of space right there. So squeeze it together, then I'm going to take a tire lever, and I'm going to get it underneath the bead of the tire. Okay, and you don't want to get both sides, you just want to get one side, and I'm going to just push it down like that. And I'm going to go all the way around the rim until it's completely unseated. Then I'm going to take the tube out like that. Then I have to get the other side of the tire off. Now usually you can just do this with your hand and just push it over. However, sometimes you might need to use the tire lever to kind of get it started. Then once I've got the rim like this, I'm going to then take the inside measurements, not the outside or the center, but the inside. So from there to there. We're going to put it to the sidewall inside like there, and then we're going to measure on the inside there. So on this particular one, you're about 18 millimeters. If you look right there, we're dealing really small. So 18 millimeters is what I'm after. Now the Nexo tires have a range. So if you measure 19 and it really is 18, or if you measure 17, it's really 18. Not going to make much of a difference. They each have a range of a millimeter or two. Some people like to ride a bigger tire. So here I have two Nexo tires. This is the 700 by 24, and this is the 700 by 35. Now both of these you'll see have the exact same diameter, so they'll fit on the rim, same rims. However, the difference is two things. One, if you look at this, the distance here on the 700 on the yellow one, which is the 700 by 24, is going to be narrower than the distance here, which is the 700 by 35. I could go to like a 700 by 28 or maybe even a 700 by 30 with this one. If you have a 700 by 30 on your tire on your bike now, we don't make a Nexo in 700 by 30 yet. However, you can't go down. So if you have a 700 by 35, that'll probably work for like a 735 and up, but it's not going to go down to a 730. typically this distance here is going to be too wide for most rims. Maybe not the case, but just check your rim width like that. Okay, now that we've got our measurements on our rim widths, if you're going to go close to the same size tire that you currently have, so let's say you have a 700 by 23 and you're going to buy the 700 by 24, you're ready to order. There's no reason to check frame clearances because there should be enough tolerance in your bike to go from a 700 by 23 to a 700 by 24. Or on the flip side, if you're 700 by 28 and you want to go down to a 724, again, no need to check your frame clearance. However, if you want to go to a bigger size, that's when you're going to need to check frame clearances. And what I'm looking for on the front is my frame width. So I want to see how much space I have right here. So what I would do is I would take a tape measure and I would measure, okay, what do I have right there? And on this particular bike, I have 44 millimeters. So is it going to fit the 35 millimeters? Yes, it'd be a little bit tight, but it would work. So on the back, I'm going to measure this distance from here to here. On this particular one, it's about 65. Okay, so the final one to check is the one down here by our crank. And this is usually the one that limits us. So just because it's worked here and worked here doesn't mean it's going to work here. This is usually pretty tight. So what I would do is I would grab a tape measure, go down there really tight.
Your hand's right in the way. Sorry.
How about that?
Yeah, go.
So what I would do is grab the tape measure, measure down there right where I'm at, and you want to take the skinniest measurement, and it looks like on this one it's about 32 millimeters. So the yellow tires, the 35 millimeter tires, would not work on this bike. So now you've measured your rim width and you've measured your frame clearance. Just as a word of note, if you have 725 or 728 size tires, which I didn't mention earlier, the way to check for that is your tire size is usually going to be printed on the side of your tires, and it's usually going to be printed really hard to read and small, and it's not going to be a different color. Like this is it right there. So if you have 700 by 23 or 700 by 25 right now, you're gonna and you want to just stick with the 724, you don't need to measure your frame clearance. You just need to measure your rim width and make sure these will work for you. Once your Nexo tires show up in the mail, see our installation videos on how to install. We're sure you're going to love this product and use it for a long time.